Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Haiku Talk. I'm your host, Vanadana, your friendly neighborhood haiku poet. Today, we're going to take a look at another poem from the autumn issue of Frogpond. This one is from Vanadana Parashar, and it's called, we'll call it Even the Moon. So sit back, grab a beverage, and let's get ready to Senryu. Welcome back, everybody. Yes, we are dipping again into the autumn 2021 issue of Frogpond. Normally, I just pick one poem per issue of a journal, but I was finishing up my third read-through of the haiku in this issue last night, and I was really taken again by this piece by Vanadana Parashar. It's a piece that I just felt like I needed to do an episode on. It is a Senryu. And it is a Senryu that does tend to go to parts of the human experience that are not necessarily positive or good. It goes to a very dark place. And I feel it's important to bring this one up for that reason. Haiku and Senryu, generally you think of them as sort of calming or serene or poems that bring a sense of peace in many ways because they focus on little nuanced, little small things in life that go unnoticed usually, and they're interesting, and they open up lots of possibilities of interpretation and meaning, and they're wonderful. But you can also do something very serious and very deep and very, well, how do I phrase it? The human experience has many colors in the crayon box. And most of the time, we spend our days in the middle to the bright colors. We don't spend a lot of time in the dark areas. And this poem goes into a dark area. And it does so using haiku language, the 3 S's, simple, succinct, suggestive, and it does so by allowing the reader to step inside the moment and experience something. And in this case, experience something that a number of us have never experienced before, and there are probably a fair number of us that have, sadly. But it's important to know, to everybody out there watching, that you can go here in a haiku, in a Senryu. And this is a Senryu because it deals with human nature rather than nature at large. And it's brave, and it's memorable, and it's one that has stuck with me every time I've read this, and I'd like to do this episode around this poem. And so what we're going to do is I'll go read the poem twice, then I'll talk about this, how it's structured, and then we'll break it down line by line to talk about why it works and how it works. So here we go. Even the moon heard my no. Date rape. Even the moon heard my no. Date rape. So this poem uses the fragment and phrase structure, as we've seen before, putting the phrase at the front and the fragment at the end. And what that does is it allows us to get into a scene, into a moment, and then with the fragment at the end, suddenly everything snaps into focus and we know exactly what the moment is, what we're experiencing. And so that phrase is, even the moon heard my no. And the fragment is date rape. So let's break this down line by line. The first line, opening line, even the moon. Even the moon. It's a great line, great opener, because what it does, and again, if you're coming to this poem fresh without ever seeing it, ever experiencing it, having no knowledge of where it's going to go, it draws you in very nicely. 3 words, even the moon. And it does so with a bit of tension, because it sets up that it's talking about the moon, but it's using the moon in reference to something else. And it's amazing what you can do with language, especially 3 little words, and how much you can construct and engage and start to vibrate on moods and tones and temperatures with just a few little words. And in this case, even the moon really is kind of gripping, because what, even the moon, what? You know, I mean, you go into it with bright eyes. You have no idea what's going to happen, where it's going to go. And it's a good first line. And so we go to line 2. Heard my no. Heard my no. Oof. So now we know after that second line that we've completed the phrase. We have even the moon heard my no. And again, 3 words, 3 words. And it's interesting because the last word of the first line is moon, M-O-O-N. The last word of the second line is no, N-O. It's like it splits that word in half. And you can't help but when you get to that no, to kind of pause for a moment. It really pushes you to stop, because it's a very forceful word. And it's a very surprising line, because I've read thousands of moon haiku and senryu in the numbers of journals and anthologies and books that I've read over the years. And that second line is quite a surprise for me, because normally moon poems, and God bless them, let there be moon poems till the day goes, till we're all gone. I mean, keep writing them, keep reading them, they're great. But you generally don't have them set up this way. So this is very fresh, very interesting. And there, again, heard my no, we now have a very strong vibration that something is not normal here when we're talking about a moon poem. And how would the moon even hear a no? What is going on here? And then we get to the third line, the fragment, the context line, the thing that makes this poem go boom. And that line is date rape. Wow. I mean, wow. What can you say? If this doesn't punch you in the gut and doesn't make you feel all sorts of feels that you generally don't feel, I'm not sure what's wrong with you. Because this poem goes to that dark end, uses those dark colors of the crayon box, and it pulls you in, takes you into this moment. And when you get to that third line, and you get to that last word of that third line, it's a 2-word line. You go 3-3 to 2, and it's, you know, you're taken somewhere. Now, haiku, senryu, when they work, they rely on the reader to step inside that moment and make it their own. And you can tackle this type of subject matter in a haiku or a senryu, as long as you're able to do that, as long as you're able to, if you're the poet, leave the personal details out and allow the moment to speak for itself, so that the reader steps into that moment and fills it out with all of the colors of their own crayon box, puts all their own details in it, puts all their own self into that moment. And one of the things that I love about this genre, that I keep coming back to it, that I can't quit it, is that I'm countlessly delighted and surprised and enriched by all of the moments that poets all over the world have shared with me. You know, this issue notwithstanding, I mean, there are people writing this stuff all over the world. Like, this journal doesn't put the countries that the poets are from, but it's written everywhere. And you know, it is life enriching. And haiku and senryu don't tell you how to live your life. They don't prescribe anything for you. They don't preach to you. They don't try to say, do this, do that, choice, make a choice. But when you encounter a poem like this, and you feel, which is only a fraction of what somebody that's actually gone through something like this has felt like, you can't help but feel empathy. You can't help but be moved and be hurt, physically hurt, emotionally hurt, not physically, but emotionally hurt by a moment like this. And whenever you encounter anything in this realm going forward, anything around this topic of conversation, any scenarios, this is now something that you carry with you. And if you've experienced it or not in real life, you now have experienced it in a way. And how that makes you make changes or make choices, different choices down the line, how you engage with people differently, how you might listen to people differently, consider people differently. It's on you and how you carry this with you. But this is a very powerful poem, very honest, very brave. And I thank you, Vanadana Parashar, for writing this piece, for sharing this piece. Thank you to the editors of Frogpond for publishing this piece. And it's a topic that, unfortunately, is very with us, very present. And there's not much more to really say about it than that. But again, the poem does use simple, succinct, and suggestive language to take us into the moment. There are no words, for simple, there are no words that we don't understand. It's succinct in that every single word matters. We're not given too much description. We're not given too little description. Everything is exactly where it needs to be, balanced exactly right. And the suggestive language. For example, even the moon suggests that the scene is at night. And then even the moon heard my no suggests there was a struggle. This was an audible struggle. The person experiencing the date rape did not go gently into that good night and did fight and did struggle and did cry. And then the actual date rape line itself, we experience that as readers. And in an age as well where we're having, at least in the United States, people banning books, burning books, because they deal with subject matter that they find troubling for young readers in schools, it's really unfortunate because in the right context, in the right understanding, the right introduction to the work, you can learn a lot about a time period, learn a lot about human nature, a lot about how to make decisions, how to recognize what happens in life. This happens in life. The date rape happens. Anyway, thanks for sticking through. If you made it to the end, I appreciate it. This is a wonderful poem. Not everything in the book, or not every haiku or senryu that you encounter are going to be on that level, but it is important to know that poems can go there. Thank you very much for watching, tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like. Like the piece if you liked the content. Please subscribe, and if you subscribe, ring the bell to get notified when new episodes come online. Again, thanks for watching. Until next time, have a great night.